Um, so for 2021, I've decided to make it a year of intensive learning and growth as a musician. And although, New Year's resolutions seem almost built to be broken, I think that this is going to be a program that will be rewarding even if you fall off early into it or you kind of go off and on or participate as you are able to. Um, and it's also built, I've kind of designed it with a couple, I'm not going to call them redundancies, but like a couple fail safes so that you can continue to feel like you're improving even if you can't, for instance, do like your prescribed practice minutes per day. So I want to, so obviously I want to try to practice mindfully, um, as close to daily as possible. As a chronic pain person and as an injury prone person, I need to build in some forgiveness there in the schedule in case I just don't have the spoons left to do it that day, or I've been playing with all my students that day and that's got to count as my practice. It's no problem. But sort of more of a daily practice habit. I'm up to right now, I think I average probably 4 or 5 days a week. I'd like to average 6, see how it goes. But what I want to build into my practice is I'm taking kind of like a clue from Galamian is for every 50 minutes of practice I do, I'd like to have 10 minutes of reflection. So that can be 5 and 5 at the beginning and the end. It can be goal setting beforehand or kind of reflecting on the practice session afterward. And I've actually been taking like a longhand handwriting course, and it's been really beneficial not only for just kind of like a meditative practice, but also it's encouraged me to be better about journaling. It's much easier to write cursive. I kind of wrote in this like insane combo of cursive and like block lettering. But also I was writing like this. And when you actually properly write longhand, you actually move like this, like from your arm, and it's a lot less exhausting. Something just to think about, kind of bonus content. Anyway, so just actually writing things down, having more concrete goals as opposed to like, I would just like to improve this passage. What about this passage do I want to improve? How am I going to try to get there? And then at the end, what were these strategies successful? How successful? Stuff like that. I also want to build in time for score study. And this is with and without music playing. So, and I do truly mean score studying. So while I've picked 4 sonatas to learn this year. What are they? I was doing Prokofiev, Britten. Why can't I remember the other 2? It doesn't matter. I've picked 4 like kind of major works that I never really seriously studied. And so I'm going to go in and do those. So of course I will be studying the score. It's really important to sometimes do this without the music playing, just because different parts of your brain are active depending on whether you are listening to something, whether you feel like you're responsible for speaking, whether you're going through and listening for interpretation. And interpretation actually sometimes, depending on what's going on, the actual part of your brain that talks about like yourself or self-expression, that either lights up, or if you are really working on like suppressing bad habits, actually that part actually turns off. It's super fascinating to see what happens. Anyway, so going through studying what happens in the other parts. But I'm also going to be bringing out some of the orchestral excerpts that either I haven't done or ones that I remember really, really took me behind the woodshed. So like Prokofiev 5, I'm looking at you. Last movement of Bartok Concerto for Orchestra, looking at you. Beethoven 6, I am looking at you, and you are looking at me, and it's super awkward. Beethoven 8 triplets. So just stuff like that. But score study, uh, double checking all my fingerings and looking at what other cellists are doing. So this is also including looking at YouTube, for instance. But score study is really good also for contextualizing the part that you're playing, because sometimes we stop at the point where it's like, now I can play this part. Yes, but how are you playing that part? And what is that part's job? Is it the engine that drives that part? Are we setting the harmonic context for the other part that's playing the melody? Are we dovetailing with other parts? Is there anybody who's doubling our part? What about the timbre of those parts? So just kind of getting back into that like kind of academic frame of mind. Doing a lot of also mindful listening. So this is away from the score. And just letting the music wash over, having then a sense that those parts are memorized, and that you can have those parts playing in your mind when you are playing just your part. That's really useful. Some more sight reading. So for me, I'm probably going to be buying a couple intermediate etude books that I haven't worked with, like in my students, and then just some orchestral stuff, and basically just playing along with YouTube until we're able to play with each other again, which is going to be in a little while yet still. So let's not get too excited and start going like, to rehearsals with a bunch of people. Anyway, also, I'm going to try and learn a piece of new music each month. New meaning, I think I'm going to try for composers who are alive now, and I'm going to lean deeply into women composers and composers of color. That's what I'm going to try to do, because I am guilty as anyone of living in, old, dead, white people music. And it benefits nobody. So I'm going to, and if it's not music that's like just for the cello, I'm certainly just then going to listen a lot. And I actually would love to get your recommendations for new music. I'm definitely going to get into some of Dale Trumbore's new stuff. She's just magnificent, and I've been following her since I think she was like a grad student at USC. Anyway, so those are my goals. And so I would invite you to join me on this. And also I am here as ever if you're somebody who is like an earnest amateur, but maybe doesn't know about score study or how to do it or where to start. Just shoot me an email. I will happily send you some PDFs of good things to start on. I'll link maybe to some recordings that you can then listen to while you're doing your score study. But we're in this together, and I would just love for 2021 if 2020 was a year of like, I don't know, forced conditions that led to hopefully something positive in terms of our growth and our practice and reflecting on what we miss as musicians. I hope 2021 can be like this bountiful expression of gratitude and progress and coming back together as a musical community. So yeah, I'm here. Shoot me an email. That would be contact@emilywright.net. I wish it was .com, but they just won't sell emilywright.com to me. It's too bad. Anyway, but I'm around. You can find me on Twitter or on Instagram. Twitter is Emily Cello, and Instagram is Emily Wright Cello. But yeah, here's to a year of bounty and prosperity and growth for all of us.